Now, your forecast first, sponsored by Matex Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
Well, good evening to you. Thanks for joining us tonight as we glance at the temperatures at this 10 o'clock hour in the low 70s. Actually, it doesn't feel terrible out there because the humidity levels have been down a little bit, and by this weekend, they're going to be up a lot. Let's take a look at the satellite radar picture. Clear skies for the most part. We've had a few clouds filtering in from time to time, but overall, a quiet evening is expected and a quiet Friday, albeit warmer, with temperatures jumping to the upper 80s. That's only the beginning. We hit the 90s soon. It's going to feel like 100. We'll talk about when and how storms could also return to the area by the end of the weekend. Coming up, WCIA 3 News starts right now.
Now, from WCIA 3 News.
A school board member resigned tonight after making controversial posts on social media. We'll tell you what they said. Plus, remember the explosions last year in one county in central Illinois? Neighbors do, and now police say they know who's responsible. And Illinois normally wants the stands filled at Illini football games, but not this year. We'll tell you how many people will be let into Memorial Stadium.
You're watching your local news leader. This is WCIA 3 News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Paul Cicchini. A Shelbyville school board member resigned after making racist comments on social media. Tonight, his resignation was announced publicly at the board meeting. WCIA 3's Jennifer Jensen has more from Shelbyville about what happened.
Shelbyville School Board member Keith Boehm made comments on a Facebook post that the school board found to be unacceptable. The nature of the comments were discriminatory and racist. Several comments on the post made reference to black people, stating in his words, quote, "Most crime is perpetrated by black people. Don't act like animals and you won't be treated like animals. They don't deserve equal treatment. These are not any kind of human deserving respect. Black lives matter if they quit acting like animals," end quote. The board president told me if Boehm didn't choose to resign on his own, they would have encouraged it.
His comments do not represent the standards or values of the school district or of our great community. As school board members, we have to strive for a learning environment where all students feel accepted, welcome, and safe. Comments like the ones we're addressing now are counterproductive to the mission of our school.
The full statement that the school board president made tonight will be posted on the district's website. Reporting from Shelbyville, I'm Jennifer Jensen, WCIA 3, your local news leader.
Boehm was elected to be on the school board last year. His term would have lasted until 2023. The board will now be accepting applications to fill his position. Two men are facing charges after authorities say they set off explosives in Vermilion County last year. 42-year-old Jason Boyd of St. Joseph and 58-year-old Kirk Marvel of Catlin are charged with possession of explosives. Marvel is also charged with possession of meth and intent to deliver. The two are accused of detonating several homemade explosives in October. No one was hurt, but the blasts were heard for several miles. People who live in Catlin remember hearing it, and some are relieved to finally have some peace of mind.
It sounded like someone was behind our house that had shot off a bunch of guns. It was just a loud boom. Our windows shook. I'm glad they found the two men that were doing it and that nobody was hurt.
While the two men have been arrested, they have not yet been convicted and are waiting for them.
Now, while those two men have been arrested, they have not been convicted, and they are awaiting their court date. Also in Vermilion County, the bomb squad was called after a suspicious package was found. A team from the U of I was called to the Dollar General in Westville last night. Police say a package was left outside the entrance. The store was evacuated. A robot was used to determine the package was not dangerous. New tonight at 10, two teenagers were charged after police say they were involved in a shooting that hurt a 19-year-old girl. 18-year-old Omarion Purnell and 16-year-old Damian Carter were both arrested after trying to run. Carter is being charged as an adult. The victim said Carter shot her and says he referenced her cousin, Terius Pettis, who was shot and killed on Philo Road earlier this year in Urbana before shooting her in the leg. Following up on a murder trial in Macon County, the verdict is guilty. A jury convicted Anthony Myers of killing 2-year-old Tanisha Barnes. The toddler was found in February last year in her home, wrapped in a urine-soaked blanket and with a body temperature so cold it didn't register on a thermometer. Myers was the live-in boyfriend of Barnes' mother, Twanica Davis. She pleaded guilty to murder last year. She's serving 20 years. A man in Mattoon is behind bars for molesting a child. Jose Antamata Shigala is charged with predatory criminal sexual assault of a child and unlawful restraint. Police say he held a peroxide-soaked rag over the girl's face to quiet her during the assaults. They say he repeatedly molested her over a 2-month period while living in the home. An employee was arrested for stealing thousands from the Lake Marina. Police say Robin Sheets of Shelbyville admitted to taking between $10,000 and $20,000 from the marina's office. An investigation started after the city's auditor noticed revenue was down close to $25,000 compared to previous years. Earlier this month, an undercover officer went there to buy passes, and the money was never turned into the office. We have some new details tonight about the case of a Rantoul police officer shooting and killing 3 dogs. Earlier this month, police say a woman called to report several aggressive dogs. An animal control officer arrived, and police say he was swarmed. An officer tried to use a siren to distract 4 dogs, but it didn't work. Police say the dogs started biting the animal control officer. That's when an officer fired. The owner of the dogs say 3 of his 4 dogs died. Now he wants answers.
No one was attacked. I've seen the pictures from the police. It does not look like a dog bite at all, and especially to kill 3 dogs and shoot another, to shoot 4 dogs, I think that was excessive force.
He says he plans to file a lawsuit. We reached out to the Rantoul police, who would not comment about that possible lawsuit. Decatur police scanners are now encrypted. That means when you try to listen, you won't understand what they're saying. The chief says the change was in the name of safety. For example, he says officers share information about victims, their names, addresses, and other personal details. Officers also say criminals can use scanner traffic to their advantage.
Late last year, we started noticing that criminals were monitoring where we may have our officers tied up at. If we had a shooting on the east side of town, it became very apparent through radio traffic we're on the east side of town. So, of course, our criminals take advantage of that, and they would go to the west side of town, or north side of town.
Chief says Decatur police still want to be transparent with you, and that means they release a crime report every day. And you can make an open records or FOIA request so that you can hear the scanner traffic if you want. A Decatur councilman wants the city to do more to enforce the state's mask order. So right now, public health mandates everyone over 2 who's medically able to wear a mask. But Councilman David Horn says it's not enough. He feels the city should enforce it through licenses and permits. For example, a bar could lose their liquor license if they don't require you to wear a mask, and restaurants could lose their outdoor seating or outdoor serving permit. However, some councilmen say it's not the city's place to do that.
A mask, I do not believe, should be mandatory. I have full confidence in our community to do what's right and what's fair and be respectful to the health of our children and our grandparents and everybody.
In April, the city discussed a mandate for everyone. If you didn't wear a mask, you could get a $250 fine. But it was dropped from the agenda because dozens of people called with concerns. Officials in other communities we spoke to say public health's mandate is the one they're operating under. They're not passing their own ordinances because the state already requires people to wear a face covering in public if you can't social distance. You can't be fined, but businesses and government buildings can refuse you entry if you're not wearing a mask. Law enforcement has repeatedly decided to just stay out of it. More stores continue to require masks. Starting July 20th, customers at Schnucks will be required to wear a face covering when shopping. The company announced the new policy today, one day after Walmart and Sam's Club announced an identical requirement. For a limited time, Schnucks stores will provide a complimentary mask for shoppers who either don't have one or forgot to bring one. The company continues to request you shop alone. There are more than 1,200 new cases of COVID-19 in the last 24 hours in Illinois. We've had nearly 158,000 infections diagnosed so far. The state's positivity rate for the last 7 days is 3.1%. There have been another 25 deaths in the last 24 hours for a total of more than 7,200 in the state. The state wants to help teenagers find summer jobs this year. We'll tell you how they're doing it. Plus, digging for a project normally means finding some dirt, but some found a little more than that. We'll tell you what. Plus, Illinois Athletics plans to have fall sports this year. At least they hope so. How they're going to keep athletes safe throughout the season.